Good morning. So today we are going to talk about how to prevent fatigue from being an empath, a healer, a wellness practitioner, or just being a sensitive human, right? So let's begin at the very beginning. What is an empath, or what is empathy? Empathy is our ability to feel what another person is feeling. Right? Almost so deeply, it's like from their perspective. It's a total gift. It longs for empowerment. It longs for cultivation. And when it's not cultivated, when it's uncultivated within you, it could create a lot of imbalance. Okay. So you may be curious if you're an empath. So let's go through a few things that may mean you're an empath. And then we'll talk about where you might be on that scale, okay? So you are an empath if you feel the emotions of others. If you feel the emotions of others, whether it's mild or strong, someone tells you something that happened to them and you cry, right? Or you cry and laugh really easily. You know, you cry at emotional commercials. You're very connected to the emotions of others' experiences, okay? You take on the energy of others. You take on the energy of others. Someone is very sad and you start to get sad, or someone's angry and suddenly you're angry, or they're happy and now you're happy, right? You take on their energy and it becomes your own. You feel drained. You feel drained after being around somebody that has some kind of some people call it negative energy. Somebody has a negative energy and you just feel drained after. I like to say that, you know, the energy is vibrating at a lower frequency, right? When energy vibrates at a low frequency, it just doesn't feel as good, right? We can call it negative. We could call it many things, but it's just not vibrating at a good frequency, okay? If it was a higher frequency, it would feel good. Okay, so you are an empath if people are drawn to you, people feel safe around you, right? Strangers walk up to you and they're like, ask you questions. It's almost like they know that whatever they ask, you will give, right? So people are attracted to you. You are an empath if you sense things before they occur, right? Whether it's in your waking life or in dream state. Right? You have this idea or you just feel like something's going to happen and then it does. You have a strong intuition. You're an empath if you have a strong intuition, even if it's uncultivated or even if you don't listen to it. Say you have strong intuition, but you never listen. You're an empath if you're an intuitive. Okay. You're an empath if you want to help. You want to care for others. You want people to feel held and safe and supported. Okay. You want people to feel good. You are an empath if you're profoundly aware of what other people are feeling and also saying. Yes, through body language, but almost as if like you can feel what they're saying, even if they're not saying it. It's like you're a great lie detector, okay? So you may be an empath if any of these things resonate for you. Okay, and depending on how much they resonate will determine where you lie on what we will call the empath scale between 1 and 10, right? You're a 10 if you feel all those things very, very strongly, right? You're between an 8 and a 10, right? And your empathy, your empathic nature may be uncultivated if you're feeling that drainage, if you're feeling the fatigue, if you're feeling like, you know, a negative energy kind of is attracted to you, right? That's kind of more from a, it's a little bit from a victimized state, right? Which is totally fine, right? It's just information, and now we get to look at it, release it, and cultivate and empower your empathic nature, and not let you be a victim to it, okay, or to others. You may be somewhere else on the scale. Maybe you're a 1 to 3 if you feel it sometimes, right? Maybe when there's a really huge thing that happens to somebody you love, and then you feel it quite deeply. So maybe you're a little bit lower on the scale in that capacity. The point though is no matter where you are on this scale, it is very important not to push away your empathic nature. It is very important that we cultivate it, that we tend to it so it can tend to us. Okay. So why does fatigue happen? Why does fatigue happen? And not just in general, but especially, you know, when we have that connection to others or when we feel that kind of negative impact. I would offer that fatigue occurs when a straining is happening at the level of the mind, body, or spirit. There is a straining. So instead of us tending to the fatigue, we're going to tend to the strain. Okay, so instead of tending to the result, you know, like what's happening, fatigue is the result, but the strain is where it's coming from. Okay, so strain is actually a great place. Strain just means like you care, right? Your body leans forward because you really want to listen to somebody. You want to show them that you care. But in so doing, you distort your body. So your neck, your upper back feels out of place. In distorting your body, you collapse at the level of your heart and your solar plexus, right? Caring doesn't have to look collapsed and distorted, right? Even though we feel like, you know, us leaning forward towards somebody else indicates or shows them that we're listening. I would attest that really caring and listening and helping others occurs when there is no strain, there's no distortion, and there's no collapse. Okay, so let's begin with posture. So posture isn't a fixed state. It is a moving, breathing thing. Okay, so go ahead and feel your pelvis, right? Feel this pelvic bone, the part of your pelvis, the sits bones or sitting bones. Lower back is soft, mid back is wide, heart is open, the chin is in, back of the head and the neck is reaching up towards the ceiling. And you're simply breathing. In Alexander technique, there is something referred to as primary control. In short, it is your relationship to your head, your neck, and your spine, and it moves. A baby is constantly reorganizing. This is what you want to do. You're not straight and erect and perfect. You're a moving, breathing thing, inside and out. Your inner body is moving, your outer body is moving, even if it's infinitesimal, even if you could barely see it, it's moving. If you feel fixed in any way, open and close your mouth, release your jaw, right? Bring your focus back to that pelvis, to really sitting on the sitting bones. Okay, from this position, we soften, and in a softened state, we can be free. Okay, so once you have that, once you've softened your posture and are not collapsed, right, you're going to soften your gaze. So if you don't know how to soften your gaze, first try a hard gaze. Pick something in a room, right? So pick a book or the edge of a table and look at it and try to determine every detail, right? As you're doing this, notice, is your neck tightening? Is your jaw tightening? Are you off now? Like as I started to even just demonstrate that, I'm more on my right, like I'm in my right hip and I'm literally sitting on my right sitting bone. I'm completely off my left, right? It just started, my whole pelvis just did that. Just because I hardened my gaze, I was distorting on a level that you could almost not be aware of because it's here, right? This is easier to find and feel sometimes. So in order to soften your gaze, you still pick a point, but instead of fixating and hardening and really trying to see every detail, you simply soften and imagine like a little you inside your skull that is peeking out. And instead of using that central hard vision, you use peripheral vision. So you soften your gaze and you are seeing everything on the outside. Again, always thinking jaw relaxed, back body, I'm in my back body. In this way, I teach this in my intuitive Reiki class and it's in the book too, right? There's I don't know how many I list, but there's a couple different ways to see auras, right? This is how we see auras, is to use that other part of your vision, right? So in this way, we soften our gaze. And once you have that, you want to soften your idea of wanting to fix anybody, okay? So this is very important, since much of the strain that we encounter has to do with the fact that we really want to help somebody. We want to fix them. We want to, you know, we know that if they just stopped, doing drugs, or, just, started to listen, or, visit their mom, or whatever it is, right? We have an idea of what we think is right for them, right? And we want to fix it. We want to help. Again, coming from a really good place, we want to help. But we need to let go. We have to release this idea that we have of what's right for somebody else. Even if they're coming to you as a practitioner and they're saying, I need help with this, we still have to release the goal, right? So we release the goal. And when we release the goal, our purpose, our true purpose, gets to come into focus, right? My purpose is to be present for someone else's healing process, right? My purpose is to be present for someone else's healing process, which means I'm not doing anything. In reflexology, when I'm giving a session, I'll often say it's like turning on and off a light switch, right? I'm like pressing buttons. I'm turning on, we're lighting up your inner body. You're doing the healing. I'm not doing anything. And I'm not attached to doing anything, to changing anything, to fixing anything, to controlling anything. All of that is released, right? I'm giving it back to you, right? I'm giving you back to you and giving me back to me ultimately, right? So number one is soften your body, soften your gaze, and soften your idea of what someone else needs. Okay, that's number one. Less strain, less drain. Also acknowledge if you are not in the wellness field, but you're an empath. If there is a sensation within you that is saying, I don't do that. I don't try to help others. I feel like, people are just like attracted to me. I always attract, the wrong guy. And, it's as if sometimes people call them like, psychic vampires. It's like people just drain me. Be really aware again of that monologue, right? Be aware that accidentally, right, by default, you may have fallen into a certain way of being a victim, right, to others. And it's okay, right? This happens a lot, and it's unwitting. We don't even realize we're doing it, right? So I want you to become really aware of your monologue, right? What do you say? And be aware too that within the laws of the universe, right, we do attract, we repel, we vibrate, right? We are giving off something. It's not by accident that as I was preparing to share this with you, that so many of my clients, I would say 90% of the clients I saw in the last 2 weeks had something to say about being an empath and having been with a narcissist and this connection. And there's a ton of books and blogs and stuff written about it, right? This connection between the empath and the narcissist. So you can think about it, there is an attraction based on the amount of output the empath gives, right? They're outputting, and that's attractive to a narcissist, right? The narcissist is like, yeah, of course they want to be around somebody who's putting all their focus, that hard focus on them. It makes it so they get to retreat, right? So in order to release that interplay of what's happening, of being that overgiver, that empath, that is attracting another kind of energy that wants to take, right? It's just a law of the universe, right? Instead of attracting that, the empath gets to enter her back body and gets to be present for herself. And this is number two, right? Number two is radical self-care, taking care of you first, right? And these are actionable things you can do, right? You put your mask on first. Do things for yourself. Listen to yourself. Cultivate your no. Okay. Next, we prepare. So we prepare, we do this in my intuitive Reiki program, but it's also in the book, so you could read about it, of how to cleanse and clear spaces. And for our purposes today, we're going to clear and cleanse the aura. So a lot of times when bad stuff happens, it gets stuck in our auric field. We refer to this as psychic muck, right? Someone else's stuff is stuck in your aura. Ultimately, it can go deeper still and affect the body. Then you start to see body pain. It can go deeper still, it affects the organs. It's been going on for 30 years, you have cancer, right? It can continue to penetrate the layers of you that ultimately are there for protection, right? So we want to get it out before it goes within. So you simply take your hands, and with your palms, you're going to scoop out. With your hands, literally, imagining that you are clearing any kind of psychic debris or psychic muck that is not yours, right? Other people's, and you literally are pushing it away, okay? It's very common that an empath has come from a place of a traumatic childhood, having to care for an alcoholic parent, something like this. That gets stuck, right? That kind of, that weight, the weight of being a child and having a huge responsibility, right? There are energetic holding patterns that can really get stuck in the aura and go within, right? So we want to clear that out. Clear. And then we could even do a little dry bathing, right? We could brush our literal skin, right? And again, there are methods detailed in the book, and we do them in our class too, right? Of dry bathing, removing anything that is not yours, okay? And then once you feel really clear and clean, you aura beam, right? You allow it to move, that beautiful you-ness that doesn't have the psychic muck, psychic debris in it. It gets to beam and clear and become brighter, and to brighten, yeah. So you do this. So number 3 then is sculpting the air around you, envisioning that you are clearing your the auric layers. You will dry bathe if there's anything left over your physical body. And then you will aura beam once you feel really grounded, really clear, and really yourself again. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4. Number 4 is reserved for those moments when a relationship or a situation has just gone too far, right? It's like the connection is really strong and it's damaging. And it can even be a moment, right? It could be a moment that a stranger said something and it just made you respond and you reacted and said something back. And there was that interrelationship between the two of you that just was, it's almost like it's old, right? As if you knew that person. You guys both triggered each other, and you both, maybe both of you, responded negatively in some way. Okay, so we're going to try this now. I want you to think of someone that you had a situation with that was negative, or felt toxic, right? This kind of energy felt exhausting, left you depleted. So think now of a situation and know that it is okay if it's somebody that you're very close to, that you don't want to, you want to have a relationship with them, but something happened. And that's the thing that you want to clear, right? You don't want to end the relationship with them. You want to clear away that trigger, that negative energy, that thing that was just too much to hold on to. You don't want to hold on to it anymore. You want to release it. So think of something now. And once you have it, you're going to get into a relaxed state. And now that you're in a relaxed state, you'll do this on your own and take a little longer. But for our purposes today, we'll do a briefer version. So you close your eyes or lower your gaze. And you hold in your mind's eye that moment, that connection, that trigger, that negative energetic patterning. And tap your thymus. Rub your thymus. This is right below your clavicle, center about 2 inches down. rubbing that thymus area. And then with your palm, you place your palm on your solar plexus under that diaphragm line, the chest, central to the body. And then lower still to your belly. So your palm is on your belly. You take your middle finger and place it at your belly button, very, very gently. You're making contact with the belly button. This is conception vessel 8. This is the area that in acupuncture, you can't put a needle there, right? From here, you take your finger, you release it, and place it on your lap. So both palms are on your thighs. Your eyes are still closed. And I want you to envision the golden threads that come out of your belly button and connect you to that person. There might be a singular thread. There might be many. There might be so many, it's like a rope or a cord. And envision how many there are. And now, one at a time, I'd like you to unravel these threads. So you're unraveling the threads. You can literally use your hands and start to pull away and release. Notice that some just break apart just by the unraveling. And now with more intention, you literally break some apart. With each one that breaks apart, their half of that golden thread goes back into their belly button, their body, and the half of your golden thread goes back into your belly button, your body. And one at a time, they continue to be released. You would continue to do this for as long as you need. And if there comes a moment where you feel like there are certain threads that aren't ready to be disengaged, aren't ready to be cut, it's okay. It just means there's something more to learn from this relationship. Okay, you're not ready to let it go yet. That's okay. But if you are ready to let it go, you're going to take imaginary golden scissors and you're going to cut the remainder of those threads, envisioning all the threads going back to them, the half of the thread come back into you. Thinking to yourself, what mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and what is ours is neither one of ours. I'm taking a breath. You can brush, do some nice sweeps over your arms, your hands, your face, your head, your chest, your legs. And of course, if you have access to paper and pen, write whatever you wish to remember down. And I encourage you to do this again on your own time. When you have more time to really envision it. You might need to take 10 minutes, and you may have to do it a couple times too, right? Our connections to some people are very strong. And if they're having a negative impact, and we want to release them, it might take some time, but we can, okay? So to review what we did today, the first thing we did was learning to soften our body, soften our gaze, and soften our idea of fixing others, okay? Helping others. The next thing we learned was to put yourself first. Do things that embody radical self-healing, radical self-care. Cultivate your no. Learn to be here for yourself, your mask on first, okay? Next, we learned a little bit about aura cleansing, right? Envisioning this field around us and clearing and cleaning it. A little dry bathing, a sweeping over the body to release anything that isn't ours, and even aura beaming, right? The part of us that is clean and clear and bright, bringing that back out into the world. And then finally cutting the golden cord, okay? I hope this helps. I hope it was informative. I wish you the very best. I hope you have a beautiful day. or afternoon or night. Much love and light to you. Take care.